Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Andrew Mercer.
And first off, a fair warning to you guys, this is one of those non-horror themed episodes. This is just something that we really wanted to review. I really wanted to review. Hopefully I know Andrew's excited to talk about it. I'm not entirely sure what his opinion on this is, but I wanted to talk about it because everyone's going to be. And you guys know our love of the comic book genre here. I review a horror comic every week, or every other week at least. I also talk about all the time the comics that I read. We do trailer reactions for the comic book movies coming out, so we had to do a review here for the brand new comic book movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Otherwise, and known in my estimation as the best Spider-Man cinematic movie yet. I honestly think this is the best one that they have put out. Better than the Raimi Spider-Man, better than the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and yes, better than Spider-Man Homecoming. As a Spider-Man fan who has been reading Spider-Man since the Clone Saga back in the 90s, whether that ruins my Spider-Man cred or not, it shouldn't, because I've read all Spider-Man ever since then. So I'm very familiar with the lore. I know all about Miles. I have the entire Ultimate Universe in single issues, so I have the introduction, I have all the Miles stuff, so I know just as much about Miles as any other Spider-Man expert, and I have to tell you that this is 100% a Miles Morales origin Spider-Man story through and through, which you don't necessarily get completely obviously through the trailer. But I thought it was outstanding. We'll do the review like normal and give our overall thoughts first. So I loved it. Andrew?
I went into it with apprehension, I guess is the best word for it. I didn't know what to expect. I saw the trailer. I watched the trailer before we went. It seemed interesting. I'm a big fan of animation, big fan of different art styles and stuff like that. So seeing the trailer and the fact that, you know, it had a lot of different aspects to it as far as the character design, the way that they're animated, the way that the shading and the colors, everything was different from, you know, aspect to aspect. So that intrigued me enough to just say, okay, I'll give it a shot. The story that you were hinting to, that you knew what it was about, was kind of nice because it's got a lot of relatable aspects to it, I guess. A lot of adult problems in a kid's movie, I guess is a fair way to put that. But yeah, it was very pleasing all the way around. I mean, I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed learning about the story. I enjoyed learning about the characters. So all in all, it was honestly a good experience.
Awesome. So the story, just so you guys know, without spoiling anything, is we start off in a world where Miles Morales exists. So I'm going to be careful even about the intro because there's something about the first third of the story that they don't reveal at all in the trailer. So I'm going to leave that part out. But we start off following Miles Morales, just a typical teenage kid living his life with his cop father and...
In where?
In New York.
Where?
Brooklyn. And so Miles is a half Hispanic, half black child, so he's representing a lot of minority cultures. So the movie is, as I said, an origin story for Miles. Basically, he gets caught up in this situation involving the Kingpin, who has built a super collider with a team of scientists, and he has a specific purpose for it, which is what's interesting. One of the things that I absolutely have to make mention of is the fact that, unbelievably, every single character in the movie seemed to have full, understandable, and appreciable motivations.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
The villain wasn't just a random villain with a stupid want to take over the world reason. The villain in this, I guess you could nail down as the Kingpin. You do see him briefly in the trailer, but his motivations are so much clearer and more interesting and investing than I ever anticipated them to be. Even knowing the Kingpin story, I love that they went this direction because this is very true to Kingpin lore. more so in the Daredevil world
Yeah.
than the Spider-Man world. This is more explored in the Daredevil universe than the Spider-Man universe, this section of the Kingpin. But they did it amazingly. And so when they turn on the Super Collider the first time, they open a rip into dimensional space, and a few Spider-Men are pulled through because of reasons that I can't divulge. But yeah, a few Spider-Men are pulled through. All the Spider-Men and women from the trailer that you see Spider-Woman, aka Spider-Gwen.
Mm-hmm.
You see the Spider and the anime character, the Spider suit, which is the SP//DR, for anyone curious how it's spelled out in the comic book.
There's probably like a picture that shows her somewhere.
Probably, yeah. Oh, yeah, fair enough. Thank you, Andrew. There is, of course, the Spider-Man played by Jake Johnson that you see in the trailer from another universe. He's a little bit older, a little more experienced. And, of course, there's Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen. There is the Japanese version right there. And then next we have Spider-Man Noir, who is the black and white, black and white Spider-Man right there. Interestingly and hilariously voiced by Nicolas Cage. So well done, by the way, so well done, because he sticks to the noir time frame, like the 30s and 40s when the noir sort of stories happened.
Yeah.
He talks like that. He's like, "Put up your dukes" and stuff like that. It's really entertaining. And then there is, of course, who I just showed, Peter Porker, the Spider-Ham. And this is the ragtag team of Spider-Men that come through. Well, they're not even a team yet, but these are the Spider-Men that come through, and they don't know why, but basically they all happen across Miles for various reasons, and they all have to try and stop the Kingpin's plan, because if he turns on the Super Collider again, there's a chance that he might destroy everything. So that is the long and short of the plot of it, but it gets way more drilled down than you anticipate. It is, again, a very Miles-centric story, and it goes into his personal details with his mother and his father, as well as his Uncle Aaron, who there's some, he is not necessarily as up and up as the cop father of Miles is.
Yeah, he's a cool uncle.
Very cool uncle, very cool uncle.
Cool.
And honestly, that is a relationship, again, that is paid so much attention to. All of the relationships in this movie I felt invested in, because I thought they did such a good job of setting them all up that you could find investment. What about you?
Yes and no. Again, I said it was relatable. A lot of the stuff that they went through, as far as I don't know, just the advancing. It's really just the advancing of the plot that I can't talk about. That's what I want to talk about here.
Okay.
I don't know, just the way that, like I said, that it was relatable. Some of the things that he went through and had to understand. Like, you're sitting in the seat going like that's rough, but I get it. I understand what, kind of what he's going through. So, for being a superhero, you kind of do feel like you're on the same level as everybody here. So.
Yeah. Okay, now what did you think of how the story played out? I think that's as far as we can go. They try and stop the Super Collider from turning on again.
I thought it was good. The way that they did the different dimension. I don't know how plausible it is. Like, just the fact that they plucked a couple things out of it and nothing else really, like, things changed.
Well, it made sense because of the sample that went into the beam, how everything came out.
I guess true. It kind of honed in on one thing. So.
That's why.
But I don't know. The story I felt was intriguing as soon as you kind of after the first twist. When you kind of realize you start getting mucked up in the backstory of Miles and stuff like that. That was when I was like, wow, there's layers to this. It's not just I love the movies, but animated movies like Incredibles, Cars, stuff like that, very surface level stuff. You don't really have to dive real deep into it. With this, there is some stuff you want to know about these guys before they go through some of this stuff. So, all in all, I think the story was really good.
Okay.
Left a lot to be done with you know, that's what
if
six
need be,
dimensions.
yeah.
Let me count them here.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6 dimensions. So there's got to be more than that, right?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah. there absolutely are. And the interesting thing is this is not based on an exact plot from the comics, but it is based on a storyline where the Spider-Verse was introduced. I believe they've returned to the Spider-Verse twice, if not at least one time. They did the very first Spider-Verse crossover, and then the next year they did another one, and then this year they're doing something called Spider-Geddon, which I have all of the parts of. It's a 5-part miniseries with a 0 issue where actually one of the Spider-Man universes involved now is the video game Spider-Man. He is actually one of the universes involved now as well.
How does that happen?
It just does. They're all different Earths. They're all different dimensions.
That's not even an Earth.
Yeah, it's a different dimension. Sure. Yeah, it's a different dimension in the Marvel universe. It doesn't matter. The storyline plays out the same. It's not like Red Dead. You can't like change the story, which I don't even know if you can change the Red Dead story. Probably not. I haven't finished it. Anyway, sidetrack. So this is a phenomenally presented movie. When all of the Spider-Men show up, they actually do get sort of their own version of an origin story, and it's played sort of for laughs, but also done so well because each of the different Spider characters have their own sort of animation style. Miles, Spider-Gwen, and Peter over there, they all are pretty similar, although Spider-Gwen, she definitely has a style that is more akin to her comic book counterpart because she's in a punk band, and so her world has like all these interesting light flares and things like that. There's the very anime style of this world right here.
Which one? Which one?
Yeah, you're going to block my finger. And then there's the cartoon style of the Spider-Ham world. And then there's the fully black and white style of the Spider-Man War universe. So much so that Spider-Man only sees in black and white. So that's a funny little gag that they play with.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So they do a lot of really smart writing jokes in this. You know, smartly written jokes, I should say. And it's just very enjoyable. I was laughing through a lot of this movie and out loud. I laughed more in this than I've laughed in a lot of comedies, full-fledged comedies that I've seen in recent years. This is actually on the laugh level of the original Lego movie to me. There's enough laughs that I was like, geez, this was really entertaining. And again, it could partly be because of what a Spider-Man fan I am. And I got all of the in references and everything. Like, there's different things that you see, and there's surprises that you don't expect, and there's stuff that's done so well. And I absolutely loved how this movie played out, and the acting I thought was tremendous. The actor playing Miles was fantastic. The actors playing his parents and his uncle were all fantastic and different and unique, and so well done.
Yes.
And then the voices, of course, of Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Ham, the Spider, and of course other Earth Spider-Man. Jake Johnson knocked it out of the park playing the sort of loafy, aged, experienced Spider-Man. He was great. The Japanese girl was awesome as well. She was fun. She didn't have as big a role as everyone else, but or not everyone. She had just as much as the other spiders.
I liked that whole the way that they have that set up because it's not just the same story as everybody else. It's different, and it's way different. So some people might not like it, but I thought it was cool how they changed it up a little bit with the last 3, and I think that was the curviest of the curveballs.
Okay, and then Spider-Ham, of course, is entirely cartoon. So his animation style is very much of the cartoon variety, and down to the mallet that you can pull out of a pocket and things like that. Yeah, it's so good. It was just all tremendous, you guys. As we mentioned earlier, Nicolas Cage's Spider-Man Noir I think was particularly amazing, but they all were fantastic. I loved all of the cast of characters in this, and they advertise these Spider-Men. But there may just be 1 or 2, perhaps more. You never know. You never know. We're not going to spoil, but you may catch glimpses of something else. But
if you watched it, if you go see this,
yes,
wait. Be patient.
Be patient. do what you do with the Marvel movies. I will say that this is a Marvel-produced movie, I believe. Sony Pictures,
It says Marvel.
Sony Animation.
So Marvel Comics, actually, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah,
they did use,
and it was presented very much
they
as
used some panels.
They not only use panels, but they use dialogue bubbles, thought bubbles.
My God!
And that was really cool to see them do. Like it was truly a comic book brought to life. That's actually a really good segue. Let's just jump straight into the animation, which is I know what you want to talk about the most. And I will just say briefly that I was never someone that was doubting of the animation. I know a lot of people were like, oh, it looks so stuttery. It looks like they're pulling frames out on purpose. And I'm like, possibly, but I think it looks gorgeous and it looks like something that we haven't seen before. And that is what I loved. And because of the blending of the different animation styles throughout the movie, as well as the way they do text represented on screen for the credits, the opening credits, the end credits, as well as all the dialogue bubbles, and even the Biff Pow Bams, like we get sort of in, I know it really took concentration to get that out. Like in the old 50s Batman TV show, there's some of that in there too. And it just blew me away. Now, what about you, Andrew, as a big animation fan?
Loved it. Probably tops as far as animation that I've seen. The pace of the movie is fast. It's fast. It moves fast. Frames are fast. Everything's fast about this movie. The fact that you say that, you understand everything that happens because you don't feel like you have to catch up. You're with the movie as you're, dodging buses, flying through busted buildings, swinging from, 50 stories up. Like, you feel like you're there, you're immersed, but it's still animated. It's still, I don't know, you get wrapped up in it, but it's not like the immersion of like an Avatar where you feel like you could see this, you could go out and see, you slam into the animation, but you still feel immersed as far as the unrealisticness of it, I guess.
Sure.
So that was fun. The comic book style was a lot of fun. Just the fact that the character designs were very different from not only the spider people but the villains as well. I thought each villain kind of re-represented themselves with the way that they were brought up in this comic. Specifically, one individual. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's an interesting take on a very common villain. So, and I've never seen it done this way. So it was a lot of fun to. Again, I went in not really knowing the story. I know Spider-Man, but with all the different characters in the movie, like you said, they feel relatable. The animation doesn't separate them too much. They blend very well together in the world that they're in. So, I don't know. I can't say enough about the animation. It was really up there. Advent Children was my bar, and this launched right past it.
Wow. Okay. That's an older movie, but sure, fair enough.
If you know it, that's honestly
it was
animation
really good.
Gold. So
it was really good at the time, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, this I think is definitely a new high bar as far as what animation can be presented as. This is not quite. It's not like a Disney Pixar movie. It's not a cel shaded Disney movie. It is an animation style all its own, and that in and of itself, I think, it makes this movie worthy of seeing in the theater. Let alone the fantastic story and the outstanding presentation and characters and all of that. It all just is a wonderful blending of everything. I've been seeing great reviews coming out, and I haven't fully watched them all. I watch about the first 30 seconds to gauge whether it's good or bad, and everyone is pretty much universally saying it's so high up there in their Spider-Man movie opinions, and I wholeheartedly agree. As a Spider-Man fan, this is the best straight-up big screen representation of a Spider-Man origin story, even though it's not specifically Peter's origin story. It is a Spider-Man's origin story, and it's done so well that you don't even think they're going to do kind of what you are used to, and then sort of something similar kind of happens, and it's like, wow, so cool. So cool.
Just go see it. Please go see it. It's worth it. It's worth your time. If you like animation, you'll love this. Just go see it. Hopefully they'll do it.
Yeah, for sure. So absolutely let us know in the comments down below if you have seen it. What do you think? Are you excited to watch this one? I'd be curious to know your guys' opinion on it. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
I'm Andrew Mercer.
And remember, stay scared.